Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spoken Voices. We're glad that you can join us tonight. We hope everyone is doing well. We hope everyone is taking care of each other, and we hope that all the families are doing well out there. Today, we're joined again by Dr. Anyoha, and we would like to introduce him again. How is everything?
I'm fine. Thanks so much for inviting me today.
Well, it was so exciting and so informative the last time we spoke. I said we got to get him back on.
Thank you so much.
You know,
I'm excited to be here.
well, I'm glad. I'm glad because again, like we said before, what you do is so important, especially to us as parents and grandparents and stuff. Today, we're going to speak about mental health in children, which for me, I don't think we really think about in an infant. I think we just think once the baby is born, our instincts come in as nurturing and whatnot, and we're not really paying attention to a lot of stuff. But I know you can school us on that. So tell us what we're going to learn today.
Thank you so much for inviting me once again.
Yes.
Um, this subject is a very important subject, the mental health of children and infants. And when we talk about the mental health of children and infants, we're actually referring to their emotional content, the content of their emotions, how they feel, how they're able to relate their feelings and socialize with others. So that's basically what we talk about when we talk about mental health of children. So those are the things we address.
Hmm. So, what would we, as a parent, a new parent, because me as a new parent, when I was a new parent, it was such a new experience, and it was almost you look at your child as being so fragile, especially as a guy.
Yeah.
You're picking up this little tiny little person.
Yeah.
And it was really, really discerning to me sometimes to try to figure out why is he crying, why is she crying, and stuff. How do we as parents get to the point where we're looking at our child and being able to understand what they're trying to convey back to us? Because of course they can't verbalize what they're saying.
Exactly. So that's the point, even be it a 2 weeks old baby, a 2 day old baby, a toddler, and a 1 year old, they have their own method of conveying their feelings if we paid attention.
Right.
Yes. Because babies are, they're born to engage.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people that see the engagement apparatus are people that look for them.
Mm-hmm.
Babies, they can keep silence when they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
They can look around. They could they know the smell of their mothers, and so on and so forth. So they have feelings and emotions, and they can express it so well because nature has prepared them for those,
Right.
for engagement and expression of our feelings and emotions. Now it's left for the parents to recognize that,
Right.
and engage them on those levels.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because like you said, they cannot talk and they cannot verbalize, but their gestures, they are looking back and forth.
Right.
They are stretching their arms and twitching their mouth and thrashing around.
Right.
These are methods of communications that parents have to understand,
Right.
and engage them on that level for parents and the baby to have a relationship. The parents have to engage them on that level.
Okay.
So those are important things to learn and pay attention to.
So, what are some of the things that you have found out in your research and stuff? What are some of the motions, the facial things that babies do that you looked at and said, okay, the baby wants this, or is it even that where like you said, the stretching of the arms and stuff like that? Because I always thought if a baby stretches out his arm, he wants you to pick him up, but it's probably not right.
Well, yes. There's a whole bunch of cues, which most parents know. I mean, which come natural to a lot of parents, because what we do is most of us, our parental styles are based on what we see others do. What we see other folks do. That's how we develop our own parental style.
Right.
But not everybody is exposed to that amount of knowledge. So it's good to teach and let the public know that this is an important way for caregivers to communicate.
Right.
Communicate with newborns. The aspect of communication and engaging the newborns is very important, because the newborn, what they are trying to do is to form a relationship with the caregiver. All right. So if you want them to form a relationship with you, and which is very important in their social emotional development, you have to engage them on that level. Okay. So it could be by trial and error,
right,
at first, but if you keep on it, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure it out.
It's true, because I found that with my mother, when I would bring the baby around my mother, she would tell me things, whether he wants this, he wants that, or whatever. And it seems like she knew, because she had three. First of all, she had three, plus her mother and stuff like that, and what she learned from her. Is it better to engage with someone like yourself, as opposed to taking the old things that we know from our parents and maybe look at you and say, maybe you know something that's technically more correct? Is there is it more correct, or?
Well, culture is a very important aspect of raising kids.
Right.
Okay, culture plays a very important role, but remember, some cultures are very constrained.
Yes.
In what they think a baby should be allowed to do. In some cultures, parents are not supposed to pick up their babies, because it means spoiling them.
Right.
But it's been proven to be wrong. If you don't engage a baby at their own level, they will switch off all their communication apparatus.
Right.
And because the brain of a new baby is still developing. If you don't engage them, those parts of the brain that is needed for social and emotional interaction, they will just die away.
Right.
So active engagement is very important. And in some cultures where active engagement is not allowed, it's good to educate them that it's good to engage babies actively. What some researchers like Jack Shankar from Harvard called serve and return. Serve and return means, you do what the baby wants, the baby does what you want, and you go back and forth on it.
Like tennis.
Like tennis,
Right.
Yeah. So that's the way of engaging a baby to allow all their developing neurons to flourish. If you don't do that, they will just die off and wilt away.
Right.
And with that, the potentials of socialization and emotional development.
What are some of the signs? Because I hope that you can really hit on this. What are some of the signs that our children are not developing in a normal fashion? Because I'm assuming that once a child is born, there are certain phases that they go through.
Yeah.
That is recognizable in all children, unless there's a problem. If there's autism and things like that, what are the things that maybe we should look for?
Okay, great. I think that's a good question, and that brings me to a very important point, which means parents should not take all this development for granted.
Right.
The babies just don't go from stage to stage just because they're getting older. Parents and caregivers have to stimulate those potentials.
Right.
Okay. You have to stimulate those potential for them to mature and be there when the baby gets older. If you don't engage your baby when they are newborns, don't expect them to be smiling when they're 2 months.
Right.
Because it won't be there. It wasn't cultivated. So, being able to smile at age 2 months and recognize their parents
Right.
is a good socio-emotional development skill. Being able to reach for things, being able to babble and babble, look around, cry when you're not there,
Right.
want your attention, is all part of knowing that your baby is developing at a normal pace, right? Even babies at 2 months could get disturbed
Right.
when their parents go away.
Uh-huh.
For example, there's this good famous experiment where a parent was playing with a 2-month-old and suddenly pretends not to be engaged.
Wow.
And the 2 months was thrashing around like, Dad, what are you doing?
Right,
Come on, we're
right.
playing here.
Right.
So babies are able to figure out when somebody's engaged with them and when they're not engaged. And like I said before, these are very important things parents can cultivate for the babies to have good, solid social-emotional development.
Right.
Because a baby who has a good social-emotional development has a foundation for further learning, language acquisitions, use of words, and so on and so forth. So these are the basic foundations. Social-emotional status of baby is very important for their onwards development in language and thinking, and so on and so forth. So
it's very important for us to. I have a problem sometime now, and with seeing someone not talking to a baby, like we're speaking.
yeah,
I did the Google stuff with my kids too because they're so cute.
yeah,
You kind of melt when you see your child, so you start talking silly, for the most part.
yeah.
But I always thought it was necessary to talk like you normally talk, so they can kind of at some point when they're developed
Yeah,
enough,
okay.
they're able to verbalize
Okay.
normally and don't talk to you like you've been talking to them for the last 5 years. Like Google guy.
Yeah, but the baby talks, you
Right.
know. I mean, it's part of creation, you know. It's been there for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think babies they're tuned into stuff like that. Baby talks. It attracts them.
Right.
The kind of syllables attracts them. So that's why that has persisted over the years.
Right.
But as the baby is getting older, parents should translate into mature words.
Right.
And so on and so forth.
Right.
All right. And a caregiver, right, could make or break a baby.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't engage a baby, you can break him or break her. So that relationship is very important for the baby. The relationship, the caregiver cares for them. They're well bonded. They can read off each other's feelings. All right. Is very, very important for the baby. It's the foundation for every future development a baby could have.
Right.
The relationship they have with their primary caregiver. It could be, their mothers. It could be their fathers. It could be their grandparents. But that relationship is very, very important.
That was my next question too. Is that do you find that men have a harder time doing the things that we need to do when it comes to our babies? Do you think that we somehow don't have the wherewithal as a woman does? Because as they say, women are more nurturing to us than some of us.
Yeah.
Do you find that we find it's a harder time for us to be able to engage, to be nurturing, to hold? It wasn't for me. Because, like I said, when I saw my kids, I melted.
Yeah.
I was you know, it was easier for me, and it comes from my background too, of how I was brought up. I find that sometimes, and tell me if I'm wrong, I find that sometimes it's hard for men to be able to engage.
Not really, not
No?
really.
Okay.
In my practice, I have some terrific fathers. You know,
Uh-huh.
they are terrific. You know,
That's great.
Honestly,
That's great.
mean, I'm amazed. Sometimes I feel like handing them out trophies.
Uh-huh.
You know, so
That's cool.
honestly,
Yeah.
so if you give them the opportunity
Uh-huh.
to do so, men will always step up.
That's great.
Yes, if you give them opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the problem is that some of them don't have opportunities.
Right.
Or some don't make excuses for the men.
Yeah.
Get them involved.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But we make excuses for them, and they want to stay away. But if you don't make excuses for them, a lot of men have found very, very engaged with
Right.
relationship with their babies. Very, very engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm sure we're going to come to talk about this, but
Yes.
it makes
That was the next thing I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What is this? Uh-huh.
Well, I like to compare
Uh-huh.
the way the young plant, see the young plant there?
Yep.
How it kind of tilts into the sun,
Mm-hmm.
you know, going towards the sun.
Yes.
Yes. I like to compare that with the way a caregiver could make a baby. The positive energy of a caregiver
Uh-huh.
could actually create a bond, a
Right.
relationship with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the plant needs a source of positive energy
Mm-hmm.
to go to the sun. The baby needs a positive energy from mom
Right.
to be able to bond and form a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the illustration on this illustration here
Mm-hmm.
shows how a newborn brain is flourishing. It's
Right.
flourishing, but it needs direction. And that direction is a relationship they get from their caregiver.
Right.
Without that relationship, all these nerves that's flourishing, they will wither away and die.
Right.
So that's
Well,
very
that makes sense, though.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. That does. It makes a lot of sense.
So I think it's a very good analogy. You know, the positive energy of the sun,
Yep.
how it attracts the young plant, and the mother's energy bonding with the baby.
It's almost like a natural attraction.
It is. It
Uh-huh.
is. And you know, is a kind of bi-directional interaction
Yeah.
that's needed here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the caregiver offers some stimulus
Mhm.
and the baby responds, and sometimes the baby offers some stimulus and the caregiver responds. It should be a bi-directional interaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Is because I love music. Is music a good stimulant for a child?
It is.
Mhm.
It is. Yeah, it is. I think it is. You know. Yeah. When I talk to parents,
Uh-huh.
when I talk to parents, they, you know, I have this parent I was talking to. This is a young man actually.
Uh-huh.
I was talking to him about how to calm a baby down,
Right.
and he brought this lullaby he got from he downloaded from internet,
Uh-huh.
and he played it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said this is the way he calms the baby down
Mm-hmm.
by playing some music. So it's a very good medium to connect with the baby.
Right. I can imagine because there's certain music that is so soothing, even as an adult. Music that I used to hear. My aunt had a thing when I was really young. We'd go see my aunt. She would be playing a lot of classical music, Bach, Beethoven, and music like that, which at the time was annoying. But now I hear it and I remember her, you know. And it's almost like a connection that you have. I always say, correct me if I'm wrong, babies connect with the person that you or me. Babies connect
Yeah.
with the people that it's
me.
around. Uh-huh. You know,
Sorry.
it connects to the people that are closest to it all the time.
Yes.
And if it's mom and dad, a brother or sister if they're older,
Yeah.
and whatnot. And does that, in your opinion, does that keep a family close? You know, that because bonds in a family are strong.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it stems from the day you are born.
Exactly. Well, I think babies bring a lot of energy, fresh energy into the family.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The older kids are excited. Everybody's excited. They want to help out with the baby.
Yeah.
They want to change diaper, get, formulas. Babies energize everybody. Everybody wants to kiss the baby.
Yes.
Okay. That's the way it should be. For majority of people,
Yes.
it goes that way. Everything goes smoothly.
Right.
But there are, some people who need to hear this message.
Yes.
Who don't have this opportunity of standard being set for them. They don't know how to care for the baby. They don't know what the baby wants.
Yes.
They need to know that the relationship a baby forms with their primary caregiver is very, very important. Because you don't have to wait until the baby is a year or two to begin to form a relationship. The babies are ready to form a relationship once they're born because the nature prepares them. From the day they're in the mother's womb, the nature is preparing them. And then when they come out, they're ready to start forming a relationship.
Right.
And it's left for an adult caregiver to step up and relate with them.
Of course.
For them to thrive.
Of course.
Okay, if you don't relate with them, those social-emotional development won't be there. They won't be able to express their feelings. They won't be able to, show love, empathy, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And those things are very important, like I said, as a foundation for their development, like thinking, using words and language.
Right.
So those are very important, critical time in a baby. That critical time is very important because, like we said before, the brain is actively growing.
Right.
Okay, it's not done. It's not done growing. The brain is not done growing. And between the day the baby is born and 2 months, 3 months, these are the time the baby has to be stimulated by relationship for the brain to continue to grow.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is, and I remember I'm the baby of the family.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And what I found, everything that you're saying, right, as far back as my brain can remember, I've always been the baby of the family. It's always been that way, and to this day, and I'm 60 years old, I'm the baby of the family when it comes to my brother and sister.
Yes.
And what you're saying, it makes sense to me now. Why? My brother looks out for me like, my dad passed away early in life when he was 40. But it's like my brother stepped up. And I always laugh with him and I say, but you're basically my dad now. You took over the responsibility. And I always thought it's because of how my family developed as each was born and, the love, the stuff like that. And I think it's so important that families understand this, that, when you start getting old enough to have babies and stuff like that, to basically start, it's almost a trend to me that it follows you. And it's a trait, just like anything else, when you love a child. I think your children will love their children the same way.
Oh, definitely. There's what we call transgenerational transmission of love, of parenting style.
Yes.
Okay? So you hit an important point, Parents, especially fathers, tend to parent the way they were parented, So it runs in families.
Yep.
All right. So this is a very important thing to know. It runs, and the things that some of us do what is natural for them. Like when I was already a physician when I had my babies, when our babies were born, but I wasn't conscious about raising them up. I just did what came natural.
Came natural,
to me.
right?
Okay.
I did the same thing.
Was
with
it
mine.
enough? I don't know. Maybe if I had this knowledge,
Right.
maybe I could actively raise my kids.
Right.
with the mindset that I want them to be confident, socially, emotionally balanced
Right.
children. So the knowledge is there, but it's not being shared publicly.
Right.
That's why it's important we talk about this, because
Right.
the knowledge is there in books and literature and research, but it's not shared. It's not shared in the public.
Right.
So what's the point? What's the point?
This is and you're absolutely right.
Okay.
And this is why we wanted you to come back.
Yes.
Because we feel that we are basically at a point now where there's so many kids that are growing up not having that nurturing thing, where their parents don't understand that you have to basically nurture the child from day one, and that way they know that they're loved.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that once you know that you're loved and that these people love you, you try your best not to do anything to disrupt that love.
You're right. You're right. Very basic. Very, very basic. And the parenting style has to go from being a subconscious thing to an active thing.
Yes.
It has to be actively managed. Okay. It's just like a relationship with adults. You can't let it be passive.
Right.
It has to be an active.
Of course.
So relating with baby has to be an active thing. Engagement is very important.
Right.
You have to engage the babies actively. Parents have to find time, among all their busy schedule to engage the baby.
Right.
Find time to play with your baby. Find time to sing for your baby. Find time to put your baby to sleep.
That's right.
And make sure the baby is in a calm environment where they can get enough rest to start the next activity. Okay, be sensitive, When your baby is crying, be sensitive and
Recognize.
Find out what's going on. This is my baby.
Right.
Because this baby is everything you do is coded. They code it.
Right.
They code it. They remember. And if they're crying and nobody comes, they stop crying.
Yes.
And that social emotional connection will just die away. They just learn not to cry.
Right.
So it's good for parents to relate, to be actively aware of these things, so they can step up.
Right. You've got to come back. I want to get deeper in this. I find it to be being a parent.
Okay.
I find it to be so ultimately very important. And one thing I'll say before I sign off too is that it's important to our people, because I think that we need to have that understanding of how we need to look at our children and raise them to be safe within themselves also.
Exactly.
And comfortable about who they are. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a blast. I'm going to tell you to come back, because we can talk for hours about kids.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's our thing. Guys, thank you for joining us. We hope this is informative. We hope that this helps you out. And as always, I say, man makes plans, God smiles. Guys, take care of yourselves and be well. And come back to Spoken Voices. Oh, this is so important. Thank you, man.
Well, how did we do?